Welcome back to Car Coach Reports. I'm Paul,
And I'm Lauren.
and this is episode 5 of the Car Coach Reports podcast. And today we're going to be talking about these Teslas that are getting vandalized, lit on fire, destroyed in the streets. You've probably seen the news articles about it.
Ridiculously stupid, to be honest with you.
Yep. So we're going to dig all into that, what it means, why it's important, and what's going on with why this matters in a larger context in relation to the automotive market and why you should care as a consumer.
And the impact to the brands, because surprise, surprise, not for the last 20 years, I haven't taken a ton of heat from other journalists, from the brands about the truth about electric cars.
Yeah, this doesn't just affect Tesla. This is we've been talking about this for a while. This is a much bigger situation that, obviously the reason why people are setting Teslas on fire has to do a lot with Elon Musk.
Well, it's
but
politics.
But it rolls into a lot of conversations about what's going on with EVs in general and how the industry is shifting and in some ways failing, which we covered on episode 1 of the podcast.
But I think it's funny, and it's sad funny. You know why it's sad funny? Because they're lighting vehicles on fire. Now, when you're talking about batteries or any kind of vehicle, EVs, you're polluting. And I don't mean a little pollution. I mean serious pollution. Look at those fires and the black smoke. What do you think that is? It's all those chemicals, all those plastics that all these vehicles are made of. They're not making cars out of metal like they used to. They're using aluminum. They're using plastics, wiring. They're using all kinds of chemicals throughout the whole vehicle. And all that is polluting, which is, I think, against their agenda. Which is dumb.
So
what's pollute?
I'm
missing something.
Let's back it up to why are they setting the cars on fire in the first place, and then we can talk about the actual effect of that.
Right.
So
we're going to get political.
Right. So we're going to get a little political.
A little.
Don't worry. It's all car related.
Okay, go for it.
So Elon Musk was speaking at a rally. Was it CPAC?
I don't remember. He's spoken a lot of rallies, but
he was speaking at a rally with President Trump as he was kind of introducing himself to the world as the head of the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE.
Conveniently the same name as Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah. Well, not his Bitcoin, but the one he used to like.
Yeah.
Apparently that was done on purpose. That was very intentional.
According to Howard Lutnick, and if there's a
head of commerce, right?
Head of commerce, right? He did a podcast on the All In podcast, which I thought was pretty cool. It was
the behind the scenes on that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was good.
So, so he was introducing himself and he made a gesture saying that my heart goes out to you, but it did it in such a way that a lot of people were like, oh, that looks really nasty intention with the arm.
Yeah, but you know what the funny thing is everybody does that when they say thank you. When you say thank you, you're not meaning a salute.
Well, and there's pictures everywhere of people doing the arm.
Tons of people are doing that, and you can catch anyone with their arm in a funky position.
I think that's been like one of Twitter's favorite things over the last 20 years is just finding people putting their arms out in a way that makes it look kind of insidious. Anyway, so the big point is,
but they hate him because he's trying to save the government money. That's the bottom line,
right? So he makes this move. He's already inflaming people with his more right-leaning views, his statements about saving money and cutting programs related to DEI type things. If you want to learn more about that, go on the internet and find that stuff.
There's tons of it.
But here we're talking about, so people are already upset with him. He does something else to upset them, and now they're calling him the N-word. I don't know if YouTube's going to come after us.
They'll come after us. Yeah, we don't.
So the N-word, the other N-word, the N-A-Z-I word.
Yeah, no, we're not saying it yet.
Oh, geez. Anyway, so then they're saying, okay, let's go and attack Tesla dealerships. Let's attack Tesla sitting on the street. One guy even bought a Tesla simply to destroy it. And he said it publicly on live television.
That's a great way to get your insurance policy not renewed.
Probably never going to get a loan ever again either.
No. So you're not going to pay that loan back? Well, you can come and confiscate the burned out shell because he's an idiot.
Yeah, so
that's just silliness, stupid. And I don't know who would fund that. But mind you, Elon Musk was the Pied Piper for so many years.
Everybody loved it. He was the guy that was going to save the world with electric cars.
Right.
And he had the solar panels and he was doing Starlink. And
he still is.
As his well, I'm saying when this all, like, before he shifted his politics. And as he did that, people went, "Oh, well, he's not the savior that we wanted because he doesn't agree with us anymore." Because there seems to be a lot of um, middle ground between people on the left side of the aisle and environmentalists.
It shouldn't
Which,
be political. If you
yeah,
buy a car, you buy it because you like it.
right.
And the interesting politics of those people that buy Teslas, it doesn't make a difference. I did a report on Car Coach Reports about what car you own decides what your politics are. And that's not true. You would think, oh, you buy a Subaru, you're definitely on the left. And if you buy a Tesla, you're on the left.
Well,
But if you buy a Ford truck, you're on the right. It's not true. They looked at the real numbers. They took real registrations, real purchases, and it's all that information
the
out there.
difference was like a couple percent. It
It
wasn't
was
that
nothing.
drastic.
There was no way to tell if you bought a Tesla where you stood politically. And a lot of people bought it because they wanted an electric car. Maybe there was a $7,500 tax credit, which is going away. Maybe their state mandated it, and that's going away.
Mhm.
And you start looking at all this and you start thinking, it doesn't make a difference. If you want to buy a Tesla, go buy one. If you don't want to buy one, don't buy one. But now, my favorite part,
Go ahead.
all the automotive journalists for the longest time, if you're not buying a Tesla, you're not buying an electric car, you're behind the times. Why don't you go back to your horse and wagon, blah, fill in the blank.
People are still talking about EVs being the future.
Absurdity.
They're so
Obsessed.
convinced,
Obsessed.
convinced
Yeah.
that EVs are the future, and that anybody that doesn't see it is
Wrong.
wrong side of history.
Right.
And so now we're seeing,
Now it's
the prodigal son
Mhm.
of electric vehicles
Yeah.
making the sexy cars.
right.
Model S, Model 3, Model X, Model Y.
Cybertruck too.
And, well, the Cybertruck
I-
unfortunately
no.
doesn't fit into the sexy mold.
You know,
He did it.
I know people love it.
It's fine.
It's
Okay.
not my thing. It's more of like a
It's
trash
fine.
compactor, but
He likes the memes. Okay, anyway.
he loves the memes. Yes.
So people are going and attacking the dealerships and the cars because they believe that it's a statement on Elon Musk. And this kind of goes back to some of our conversations about dealerships, even though Tesla doesn't have actual dealerships.
No,
They
there's
have
service centers.
They have service centers and showrooms because they've somehow completely circumvented the dealership network.
Because he says he's a tech company.
Yeah, but so this has been bothering me for years. Like, this is
No, it's
really
smart.
bothering me.
If you want to know someone who can bypass the rules and skirt it all the legislation, it's him.
Yeah.
But you got to give the guy credit. I've always pushed back against Elon Musk, but I'll tell you, whether you like his cars or you don't like his cars, or you like his politics or you don't like his politics, the bottom line is, if you want to know how to beat the system, this guy's smart. He beat the system. He's the #1 contract for the Department of Defense. I can't say that. I got to give the guy
Selling
credit.
more EVs than any other company. And
60%.
yeah, and so all of these other major manufacturing companies or major OEMs, and also some of the minor ones like Rivian and others, they are struggling
Big time.
to make the impact that he did. And their cars are better. They're more well built. They have a better service network and a dealer network. And
Especially the regular traditional brands.
yeah, and it's easy to go from, oh, I have a Genesis GV70 and I want a Genesis GV70 electrified. And it's an
They got
easy,
it.
and it's
They've done
an
it.
easy step. You're in the same brand,
Audi.
trade in your car, you do the move.
Audi, BMW,
Right,
Mercedes, Volvo.
But there's something
all have
about
it.
Tesla that's completely captured the obsession of people that want something cool, something techie, something fast, something that's
There's no
unique.
dealer.
That car rolls down the street, and you can easily mistake a Audi Q5 for one of the varieties of the e-tron that they have, because they all just look
Right.
like Audis. But
Right.
you see a Tesla roll down the street, you go, that's a Tesla.
It's faceless.
It's
It's a Dementor.
they got rid
I
of
call it the Dementor.
they got rid of the grill thing, so they're kind of faceless. Yeah.
Right. So if you're a Harry Potter fan, if you're not, if you are a Harry Potter fan, you know the Dementors are the ones that suck your souls, or like a cloud of black that comes by and it sweeps over you and it takes your soul. We are Harry Potter fans.
Yeah.
But so I always say, because they're faceless, and the Japanese culture is always about the eyes or
Oh, yeah.
headlights and
That's
the
the thing.
smile. But when there's no face, I'm surprised that the Japanese even buy those cars, because
think that's
they
more
don't
of-
smile. Those cars
It's
don't
more of an
smile.
old school thing. Like,
Right. But it has a lot to do with their culture.
Yeah.
Uh,
well, look at Toyotas, look at Nissans.
right.
So if you look at the grills,
Honda too.
yeah, Hondas, Mitsubishi.
Yes.
Okay.
Mazda.
So the
Subaru.
the headlights are the eyes, And the grill, even if it turns down, that's fine. It's the lowest grill is supposed to be like
Tip.
the mouth.
Yeah.
And if you look at curves up at the bottom, then that's a smile. And I guess there's like this whole
It has to do with
cultural
luck.
thing about happiness and like you don't want to buy an angry car.
No.
So for the longest time, that was a very popular thing to do. I think it's kind of gone by the wayside
No,
now.
I still see it. I mean, but the only one that doesn't is Teslas. So that's why I've always said they're faceless. It
Tesla
always used to
only
drive me
has
crazy.
Tesla only has an intake all the way at the bottom, right? Or do they
They
even
really,
have an intake anymore?
I don't think
They
so.
updated.
They did
They
reface.
just did an update.
Yeah.
We'll have to check later. But they kind of got rid of the grill from the original Model S, or the grill look
Mhm.
from the Model S, and changed it to a more flattened, more smooth look.
Aerodynamically, it probably does better, but
Probably does. I'm sure that thing has
but
a
they don't
very
need to
low drag
cool.
coefficient.
They don't need to cool an engine.
No, just the coolant on the battery just needs to run, and that probably goes on its own.
So as part of these Teslas and everyone being upset, I don't know if everyone's upset. The story is, and again, Edmunds is saying this, and a couple other sites, I See Cars as well, is saying that the trade-in values of Teslas have dropped off dramatically,
More
and
recently or in general?
more recently, and they're saying that there's more trade-ins. They can definitely calculate that. There are more trade-ins, but there's also more cars on the road, so it's all a percentage. That they lose about $5,000 worth of value over the last year, in addition to the regular standard depreciation.
And the standard depreciation on electric cars is
Is
brutal.
horrible.
It
You
was
know what the worst one is?
uh,
You know what it is.
Cybertruck.
No, the worst depreciation of any electric vehicle is
Oh, I
Porsche Taycan.
that was gonna be my next guess, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, they lose like 50% of their value in 3 years.
Yeah, if you wanna buy a cheap luxury electric vehicle that's only, like, what, a couple years old,
Mhm.
go and buy a used Taycan.
Oh my god.
The value
The
for your
dealer
money
can't
is incredible. Incredible.
yeah.
Um,
The dealers can't get rid of them.
right,
They won't even take them in on trade. And also what's interesting, typically we always talk about buying a certified pre-owned,
yeah.
greatest choice because you get a car that's from that brand, whether it's Honda or Ford or GM or whatever, you buy from that brand, you get a certified pre-owned, and then that vehicle gets the transference of the warranty. Plus
Plus, there's a CPO warranty as
right, all
well.
technical service bulletins and recalls are all done,
Yeah,
but they won't CPO electric cars.
they won't do it.
And we heard this from Ferrari dealers.
Yeah.
We've heard this from other brands. And what happens is the cars come in and the brands are like, oh, well, like your phone. I don't know how many times you leave yours plugged in all the time, or do you only plug in every once in a while?
Me personally, I try to plug it in when I need it charged, and I try to unplug it when it's done.
Not
Because
like
I
me.
because I understand the battery cycling thing, and a lot of people maybe are not up to speed on what the current lithium-ion battery best practices are.
Right. We covered that on
The
our
reason why your car will automatically recommend, if you have an EV, especially, I think Tesla's really, really good about this. I haven't driven enough of the modern EVs to know this for sure.
drive them all. Yeah.
That they try to stop you along your trip at regular intervals so that it'll never charge you above 80%,
Correct.
because it takes the longest amount of time to charge the first 20 and the last 20%. So it try to keeps you within that 20 to 80% range, because that's where the battery is the most effective.
Right. It cycles.
Yeah, it's
So,
not like a gas tank where you top it up and you run it all the way down. I know
well, not all the way down.
batteries used to be like
Mhm.
that, like the old iPhones. Like, they would recommend that you run it all the way down to dead to, like, reset it, all this stuff. Yeah, and they said, "Oh, you really do need to run it all the way up and down," but the new lithium-ion systems, they like to be charged.
So I should own an electric car because I believe in the rule of ABC. Always be charging. So so when I'm in my
Well
car, it's plugged in.
well,
When I'm in my office, it's plugged in.
well,
When I
we're
get
power users, because 'cause we're always trying to pay attention to what's going on
right,
each end.
I'll burn through a battery in a
Yeah.
day on my phone easily.
Alright, so let's wrap this back into Tesla.
Okay.
So this actually directly affects the dealerships. So we're talking about,
It affects
used cars are tanking.
employees.
New car buying is tanking
Mhm.
because the insurance rates are astronomical. The APR rates are astronomical. The value on just the base MSRP are all going up on all cars across the board.
Not good.
And now we have people setting Teslas on fire and destroying showrooms, which are, again, not dealerships. They're showrooms and service centers. And so I just want to make sure that we kind of don't leave this topic behind as we kind of get through the rest of this.
Here's the stupid part.
So they're breaking in the windows, they're destroying the cars, they're setting them on fire, they're vandalizing them. So these are cars that have been already so if they're from the dealerships, they're still owned by Tesla. But if they're sitting on the street,
they might be owned by a person if they're sitting at the maybe they went in for service. Yeah.
So these cars are, for the ones sitting on the street or out in parking lots or whatever, they are owned by people. They've already been purchased by consumers of Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some guy, I think there was a Jewish guy in Long Island, and he had the swastika marked on his car and his car vandalized.
Yeah,
and
that's not cool.
And so you think like, oh well, it's obviously a hit against that guy. It's like, well, no, it was a hit against Elon Musk, but they're pointing their anger at the wrong place,
right?
Because
somebody's getting paid to do this.
Yeah, well, maybe they just really liked the Cybertruck. They don't care about the news. They just really wanted the truck.
Most people have no idea what we're even talking about.
Yeah.
We talk about this every day.
Yeah.
But if you go down the street and you talk to someone at the mall or at the grocery store and say, "Hey, you see what's going on with those Teslas?" They'll be like, "What? What's
going on?"
Yeah. I don't know. I have a Tesla. A lot of people bought Teslas because they like the technology. They could buy it online. They didn't have to deal with the dealer BS. I get it.
From an ease of use perspective, buying a car, it could be the future because it's so easy and desirable to have that. It's like buying a phone online. You just order it. It shows up at your door.
Right. I don't have to go in and deal with the guy at the Apple store. I'm an Apple user at the Apple store, or I don't have to go to AT&T or Verizon and deal with the person there, wait in line. I just order it. So you can do that. But I think here's the dumb part of all of this, besides the fact that you're damaging someone's personal private property, even if you think it's owned by Tesla. One, that car will get repaired. If it's lit on fire or needs a repair, either way, the insurance company's going to pay that out. They're going to say, you lost a car, it wasn't sold, or your personal car was damaged, we'll get it fixed.
Well, yeah, if they don't get it fixed, they'll just give you the cash. But all those things. Yes.
What's the result? Insurance goes up.
Yep.
We already have high insurance rates. We just dealt with fires in California. We had floods in the Southeast. And now you're going to push this ridiculous, stupid choice of damaging someone's property, whether it be a company or a person.
Yeah.
Insurance rates are going to go up even higher, not just on electric cars, not just on Teslas, but all cars, because it's a money grab for these insurance companies. When does your insurance rates ever lower? They don't. And so they will go up. That's number one. Number two, you're actually hurting the employees of Tesla and other brands because...
And they're just people.
They're just people. They're doing a job.
Yeah.
They either work the production line, they work in marketing, they work in sales, whatever it might be. So you're hurting a random person. But on top of that, you're going to get caught. There's like 20 cameras, maybe there's more, around the perimeter of this car. And Tesla turned them all on, not just today, not just yesterday, but weeks ago. So anytime you park your car, anytime you're driving.
When someone comes by or if the car gets jostled at all, the cameras instantly turn on as a security feature.
And they're not shot on a potato.
No,
they are
pretty
crystal clear 4K cameras.
Because that's what it uses for its autopilot system. It uses those cameras, so they have to be high quality.
Right.
And so, someone comes around and they start spray painting the side of the car.
Like they're not going to catch you?
Yeah, like they're going to get your face perfectly on camera.
Yeah.
Like
show me how stupid you are.
For your mugshot.
Yeah. Well, there was a guy who got caught.
Yeah.
And he was in South Carolina and he was crying. You can see his face was all red. It's online. You can find it all over Instagram. Yeah. He's crying. I can't believe I have a 20-year time in prison. Yeah. 20 years in prison for damaging private property.
Well, it's vandalism.
It is vandalism. But
aggravated vandalism.
Right. And it's also a felony if you firebomb. They caught one guy
these cars are so volatile. They're so dangerous when they set on fire because, like you said at the beginning,
chemical
reaction. There are chemicals there that these batteries. So there's the way that these batteries work for anybody that doesn't know. So and in the chassis at the bottom of it,
it's all underneath.
Yeah, there's a specialized cage that's built into the chassis of the car. And that's where the battery or batteries sit. And inside those, there's all of the different cells. And so they're sectioned off, and each of them have coolant. And that coolant is a highly flammable chemical.
ethylene glycol in most cases.
And also the batteries themselves are filled with flammable chemicals. I mean, it's all contained, so it's not like it's just going to blow up and
No.
it's not like a Pinto where it's just going to
No,
explode.
it's going to be one cell triggering the next
Right.
one. That chemical reaction could go on for months.
That's exactly it. It's a
And so you just keep polluting.
It's a chain reaction.
That doesn't hurt Elon. That hurts everybody.
And it's thermal. Somebody helped me out.
Thermal runway.
Thermal runway. Thank you. So whoever put that in the comments a couple episodes ago, thank you very much.
Yeah. And we do appreciate your comments down below.
Yes.
And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe because we've got more of these coming.
So this thermal runaway goes, and these fires can last for days. I think the longest was over a week.
Well, they've had them run longer than that.
It depends on the vehicle. It depends on the situation.
There was one up the street that had stopped, and I guess it just kept heating up the next cell, and it has to wait till it reaches a certain temperature as it stresses the cell, and it ran for almost a month.
A month now?
Yeah, I won't say the name of the company that's stored, but it was stored in a friend of mine's lot, and he couldn't believe it. They had to put it in a sand pit.
Because you can't do anything. You cannot put it out.
Right.
So you have to try to smother it or wait. And these horrible chemicals get spewed into the air. They're insanely toxic to breathe in.
Right.
And so...
And it goes into the atmosphere, which affects everybody on a global basis.
So you want to be a smartass and go in and not just vandalize. You break the windows, paint on it, horrible things, flatten the tires.
Find yourself in jail.
Right. Like you said, the insurance company will pay that out.
Yep.
But then you get involved, the fire departments, if you actually set it on fire...
And you're putting other people at risk that are doing their job. Police departments, fire departments,
much bigger issue.
First responders,
and then it leaves a pool of these chemicals on the road, which erodes the road. It
gets into the water system,
gets the water supply, and it blocks off lanes and the road. I mean, it's a mess of issues.
Nobody thinks about that. These are stupid people.
No, they're trying to make a statement, and they're trying to cause a problem.
I like what President Trump said. You want to stop this? He says, we'll just send him to Argentina.
I thought that was El Salvador.
Or Salvador.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, because think about
he won't do that.
No, but the funny
but
thing,
he's trying to
he's like, enough of
a statement.
We got the message.
Well, so it is it's a political statement. It's not
it's
just
a
vandalism. They're publicly decrying somebody and attacking very specific product to do it. It would be like, I just thought about this the other day.
Yeah.
It would be like if Apple did something horrible.
Okay.
And then people just come up to you on the street, take your phone, smash it.
Oh.
And
that could be a problem.
They just did it to a bunch of people that own only iPhones.
Oh. I think you have a lot of fist fights, is what you have.
Right, but this is the whole point.
Or take your Apple Watch and smash it.
Exactly. Like any Apple product, it's gone. So
that'd be horrifying to the people that own it.
That's kind of what's happening here. It's targeted vandalism, which I don't know the terrorism. I'm not a lawyer.
I'm not either, but it's just not good.
Right. But this is affecting Tesla stock prices.
Yeah, he's going to rebound. He's got more product coming. He had an emergency meeting last week, late at night on a Thursday night, just before the end of that week, and which is only a few days ago once we aired this podcast. And he told them what the new product is coming out, what they're doing to protect the people, what they're doing to protect the product. And the thing is, my favorite part of this whole thing is how stupid people are. They take the video that's absolutely crystal clear, they take it down, and then they put it on Twitter. So there was one guy who vandalized someone's car, and they posted the video up on Twitter. And a guy in the UK saw it, even though the vandalism was here in the US. And he posts, I know that guy. And he reported it to the police. And the guy's now in prison for 20 years. They're not playing around with this.
There's also these GeoGuessr guys that are, you know about that?
No, what is a GeoGuessr?
GeoGuessr is a game where it's a snapshot from somewhere on Google Maps.
Okay.
And it'll be like the street view.
Okay.
It'll just be a picture. And you have to go and find it somewhere in the world. And so these guys that have gotten really, really good at it. So they're like, well, I can tell by the shape of that arm that it's an interstate road. And well, that sign's blue, so that means it narrows it down to these. Okay, well, the grass is yellow and the sun's there, and
wow,
and the intersection's like this, and they're like, okay, well, I know that that's in Indiana. And then they and they go down and they find the intersection, so they can find these people.
Sure, and they also can geolocate from phones, and they're starting.
Well, no, these are people like at home with nothing but their computer.
That's cool.
And they figure it out. It's a little scary, but really cool.
No, it's cool. I mean, it's good and it's bad.
But for the police, all they have to do is like, hey, Tesla, can you give us your location data so we can find out where that vehicle?
Oh, he is giving it up because...
Of course he is, because he wants these people caught.
Right. And the thing is,
And then they go to Apple and whoever else, and they can find
they can geolocate
Yeah.
from any branded phone, and everyone that thinks that they can beat this system is a fool.
Mhm.
Because the bottom line is, the insurance company's gonna pay it out, your insurance rates are gonna get higher,
And they're
Apple's
already
still
high
gonna
for
make more products,
EVs.
they're gonna fix the product, or they'll make new product.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sucks, and it pollutes, which is super stupid, and the impact to other people is even dumber. But the bottom line is, you're gonna find yourself in prison. What are you doing?
Mhm.
So we'll move on from this, but I just had to say something because it
Well,
was
I think that
ridiculous.
kind of frames the conversation that we're getting into here about what's going on with EVs in the market right
So
now.
everyone's
Because
buying other branded things,
right,
lame,
so
which
yeah,
is what the other brands wanted.
right. So let's say that enough people go, oh man, I don't want my car to get vandalized. I'm not going to buy a Tesla, or I'm going to get
Maybe.
rid of my Tesla.
Or I'm
We
gonna
just
buy
had
a Tesla
friends
because the price is low.
that too. Yeah, yeah. Used. I mean, the used. I mean, I think
Use your
do,
new.
do the Teslas hold their value the best out of all of that? I think they're all pretty bad.
They're all terrible. And then, of course,
It's
buying a used
it's
one's
like
like buying a used phone.
yeah.
How many times did you like we're
I was gonna say like buying a Land Rover.
you
'Cause you buy them, you drive it off the lot, and instantly loses 25% of its
well, I
value.
think it depends. The new Land Rovers, the Defender specifically, is doing really well, and it's saving the brand. And now the Range Rovers, those are also still doing well.
Yeah,
So
no, the new product's great, but about the used cars, because
right.
people know they buy a luxury car, they drive it off the lot, and they're never getting their money back ever.
No.
It's not like buying a rare sports car where there's
Even the new
some
Porsche, you're
there's
not
some
gonna make your
intrinsic
money.
value to them, and, maybe they come back up 20 years later or
Yeah.
whatever. These luxury cars, they go down and they stay down, and
There's a few exceptions.
with some exceptions, thank you. Um, and it's the same kind of thing happening with EVs, like we were just talking about the Taycan.
Mhm.
And so people are okay. We had a friend trying to sell his Cybertruck,
Yeah.
and he couldn't sell it. So he had to just offload it and take a loss.
A big loss.
And no dealership would take it, so he just sold it to a used car lot and said, I'm done. So
Yeah. And I had another friend that got stuck keeping it because his accountant said, if you want that $7,500 tax credit,
mhm,
you got to keep it.
not only that, but like they're completely upside down on their loan instantly.
Yeah.
You step off the lot and you're instantly upside down because you got the APR on top of that, and
It's
it's
true with every brand, though.
yeah. So, but it's especially bad for EVs. So you have a Cybertruck. You want to get rid of your Cybertruck because you're like, well, I don't want to get firebombed. Even if you're in a small town like us in Buffalo,
I hope not.
we
I
haven't
don't
had
ever want
anything
to
like
see
that
that.
here, thank God.
No,
So,
that's absurdity
okay,
to me.
good luck trying to sell your car. But you know what? I really like EVs. It fits my lifestyle.
Okay.
Great.
There's lots
Good.
of choices.
We've been saying this for how long? 20 years?
20, more than that. I've been doing this almost 40 years, but
I've
yeah,
been doing this about 15.
right.
So you want to go buy an EV, great. That's your
Should
choice.
be able to buy one.
Go and enjoy your EV. We are very happy that you are enjoying your car. We don't care.
We review everything from
Yeah.
you name it, diesel, gas, hybrid, plug-in, not a plug-in.
Right.
There's a lot of great choices.
So, all right. I'm going to switch over to the Hyundai Kona EV. Good car.
Okay.
Good car.
Great car.
Yeah.
And you get the long warranty, and there's Hyundai dealers all around the
Right.
country.
You got all the exact same problems that you do with Tesla, except for build quality.
Well,
Oh, and service. But, there's
you got great service because
right.
there's a ton of Hyundai dealers.
Right. But what I'm saying is the prices are still high. The resale values are still low. The insurance rates are still high. If your car
You're
sets on
charged.
fire, you're screwed.
Well, that doesn't happen very often. We should
No,
say that
no.
for any brand.
It's
Some
like any
idiot
car.
sets it on fire. It's a whole nother
I think
animal.
there was some studies done that like the percentage of total cars on the road that have catastrophic failure of some variety
Mhm.
and resulting in the car burning down, the percentage is slightly higher for EVs than it is internal combustion engines.
Right. Of course, I know some
But
people put
it's still super rare.
wrong.
It's still super rare, so don't freak out. It's not like buying a Pinto where if you get rear-ended, the whole thing's blowing up.
Right. Well,
Literally blowing
that's a
up.
long time. I have friends that collect those, so be careful.
They're valuable now because so many of them got destroyed.
Well, they were basically rotting out.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if what is it that if you want an electric car, should you buy one? Sure, go ahead and buy one.
Yeah.
Be fair warned. A lot of the states, and I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it, are out of money in their funds.
Yes.
Illinois, New Jersey, California. I think New York is coming to the end. They were funding in addition to the $7,500, which is going away. Well, I think it went away because Lee Zeldin already signed the paperwork.
And you have to hold on to your car long enough to have it trigger for the fiscal year that you bought the car in.
Right. So if
So
you
you
bought it
can
at the end
get
of the
the
year,
tax
you
credit.
can't get out.
Yeah.
And then, of course, whether you don't give the state credit or your company's not offering the
And there's a lot
discount
of
anymore.
other stipulations. Go check with your,
Accountant.
yeah, go
Yeah.
check with your accountant or your lawyer or whatever to
And
figure
it's
out that
not a
stuff.
check. People still think they're getting a
No, it's a
check.
tax credit. It's
Right.
it's money off of your taxes that you have to pay to the government.
Right. So if you owe $10,000 and you get a $7,500 or $2,000, whatever it is, credit
'Cause
based
it
on your state,
fluctuates based on where your car was built, your state.
how much you make,
Yeah, and they've been changing it based on, well, this car is X number of years old on the market and all this
ridiculous.
stuff. There's a lot of different stuff. So you could have anywhere between a $7,500 and a 2,000 or even nothing.
Yeah.
You
Or
could have
nothing.
nothing. It depends on the car.
So if you bought one and you thought, well, this is a great idea, just know that there's a lot of factors involved and they could go away quickly,
Mhm.
especially with all the changes with EPA and Department of Transportation and NHTSA and everybody's involved. There's a lot of tentacles, like I've covered in our Car Coach Report segments, that go into multiple different departments. But on top of all of this, so maybe you think, I had the electric car thing. It was okay, but I wanna try something else. I have a couple friends who have called that had electric cars and asked my opinion, and they were looking at either plug-in hybrids or non-plug-in hybrids.
Mhm.
So she ended up buying a non-plug-in hybrid because she said,
We need to find a better word for that.
I know, they call
'Cause
them
we
PHEVs.
no, we have hybrids and then plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. We have
Plug-in hybrids are
hybrids and
PHEVs.
yeah, so we have hybrids and PHEVs.
Right.
But so many people call them hybrids and plug-in hybrids, but you're like, hybrid, oh, is it plug-in hybrid? And like,
No, that's a PHEV.
yeah, that's like,
Plug-in hybrid electric vehicle is PHEV,
yeah,
and those are
it's
like you can
just
buy a
it's like the Xbox and the Xbox One. Wasn't the Xbox One the Xbox One? No, the Xbox One is the Xbox One. It's just a naming thing. It's just a
who's
naming
that
issue.
first?
Exactly,
What's
exactly.
on second?
It's just a weird naming
Yeah.
issue. Anyway.
But PHEVs are plug-ins, so if you're buying a Toyota Prius Prime, it's a plug-in. So then you would plug it in to get your 30 miles of range before
Right, and it
switching.
runs out pretty quick, but you
Right,
get extra power, and it actually is
right.
better on fuel economy than maybe about equivalent as a regular hybrid.
Yeah, but the hybrid's even
But you
better
have to
because you don't have
switch
to
it.
plug it in. You're
That's
still
exactly
getting the
it.
hybrid. However, the negatives on these, and we keep going over this to people that make the transition from electric, is they are still heavy. The insurance is still a little bit higher, but not as high as an electric car. But note that if down the road, if you own it, you purchase it used, whether it be a certified pre-owned, a CPO, or something else, that when one of the propulsions doesn't work, and my very good friend Greg Damon, who's a Golden Wrench Award master tech, will tell you he's worked on millions of these. He's out of St. Louis, so hi, Greg. Um, He's constantly sending me information. Oh, of course, a lot of people are too, and I appreciate it. When one of them dies, whether let's say you get a problem with the gas engine, then you're living on a hybrid. And if the hybrid doesn't work, which is more common than something going on
You have
with
an
the gas engine,
extremely underpowered gas engine. You're not going very far.
or worse, the transition between the two that changes between the hybrid or it transitions to the gas. If that portion of the propulsion doesn't work, you got a very expensive problem.
Well, you have an expensive problem regardless because the batteries cost. I think the lowest cost that we've heard of is like 10 grand.
Yep, that's what I've heard of too. And the warranties are good for 100,000 miles, they claim. But again, you got to read that small print. With a big print, give it the small print, taketh away,
Sure
because
does.
these batteries could say only to the original owner. So I've sold it to you,
Mm,
you sold to the dealer, they sold to somebody else, and now you're fourth owner down the road, which is highly likely with any vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And now
Especially as time goes on here.
they say, "Oh, well, that warranty doesn't cover you. You got to pay the full ticket." And this is happening a lot.
And in some cases, it's like half the value of the vehicle, and the median price. And a lot of EVs are luxury vehicles now,
Mhm.
but the median price of EVs is 55K,
66?
66.
66 for an electric
It's
vehicle.
going up.
Gasoline powered is 50. So here's the interesting thing. What if we do something? I think it's Rick's Rebuilds. Does he put
Oh,
gas?
he's
Doesn't
fantastic.
he put gas engines into
He
Teslas?
did that once. He said it was the biggest pain in the butt he's ever done, and he's not doing it
It'd
again.
be neat if you could take the body
But
off
he
of
sh-
some of these cars and move them onto
well,
gasoline powered.
so
It'd be cool.
he chopped up the front end and the front undercarriage of a Model S,
Yeah,
and he put in a Chevy LS3
cool.
with I think I don't know what kind of
You got to
transmission,
rip out
but he
all those batteries.
uh-huh. Yeah, he tore all of it out.
Because you had to put in a drive
And
shaft and
I watched the whole rebuild
transmission.
series. It was fantastic. But
Sounds like a nightmare.
and at this point, hi Rich. We've mentioned you in like every video now. In every
Well,
podcast.
look, because I'm impressed with. He's a very, very smart guy.
Yeah. So
Um,
so
so
he
feel free to share this with him.
yes.
Um,
So yeah, Rich, he he shoved that LS3 in there and it worked, but the chassis aren't made for that.
Right.
They're
You'd have to
very
take the
they're very
body off,
highly
the body and
specialized.
the interior and
Well,
move it to something.
yeah, think about the amount of labor that goes into, okay, now you're not modifying the car, you just need a new battery,
Right.
right? And well, and there's multiple sets of batteries. There's not just what's in the bottom. There's also like the starter
Right.
battery.
Well, that's true with every
So,
car.
okay,
Many
so
many cars have multiple batteries. It used to just be like one battery under the hood, like you're talking about a '65 Mustang.
yeah,
But that's not the case anymore. You've got
well,
your
and to
hybrid
hack
and
the car
yeah,
apart to get
right,
to the battery.
right.
Think about the amount of labor that goes into that. It's
That's
insane.
that's why Greg keeps complaining about, man, these cars come in with issues and you have to completely disassemble the car to
Yes,
get to it,
exactly.
which means your labor costs are higher also. So is it a full gas car the answer to get your best value down the road if you're going to keep a car 10, 15 years or drive it till it drops?
Well, it depends because I mean
Easier to
hybrids
repair.
hybrids would probably last just fine. We just did a video. You can go and check it out. Um, and we can link it below. And it was how long do electric batteries actually last?
Mhm.
And on average, if you're using them correctly, they'll last about 10 years, which is about as long. It's a little bit shorter than the average person owns their used car these days. Right
Right.
now, it's 13 years.
13 year
So
on average.
on average, yes. So, and because a lot of people only own it for one, some people drive their cars until they die.
And
Like us, we're going to drive our cars till they die,
right.
which is
It
also
depends on the country also.
kind of folding it into the environmentalism aspect of
Mhm.
this whole conversation. It's the most economical, both monetarily and for the environment, for you to keep the car that you have and drive it for as long as long as it's, not falling apart
But
and
that's
spewing
not the
smoke and stuff.
plan.
No, but you get
Plan. The plan is to make it.
no. Well,
So you have to get rid of it every 3 years.
yes.
That's called
But if
planned
you buy the
obsolescence.
yes, but if you buy the car and it's still working well and is fairly, efficient,
Yeah.
um, and, more people own their cars and there's less cars being built, and then so that it ends up being more economical that way. But obviously, you're right. Planned obsolescence. We're gonna make a car, maybe something will start to go wrong around 60,000 miles.
Or
Thank you,
less.
everybody from the Volkswagen Group,
Yeah.
because your cars start doing weird stuff at 60,000
Yep.
miles.
I've had plenty of Audis. I have a
Yeah,
Joe I have a Volkswagen branded
require
SUV.
a little bit of extra maintenance. My truck's at 86,000 miles, and
Just got 69,000, I think I have.
okay,
Yeah,
and
coming up.
and we both have some weird issues every once in a while. A
When's it
sensor,
A?
yeah, sensor goes awry, or you need a part replaced, but that's normal maintenance.
Yeah.
The point is that
But
EVs aren't like that,
right, but
but you can own them for as long. So to answer your question,
mhm.
what's the best thing for you to own a car and just keep it until it dies?
Yeah.
Hybrid or
Gas
ICE
or diesel.
or diesel?
Well, diesel will run forever, but
Yeah.
that's not a fair
So
that's not a fair
But
comparison.
but I would have more faith in owning a standard hybrid than I would a plug-in hybrid or an EV
True, but I'd have more faith in
for
a gasoline-powered
longevity.
gasoline-powered.
Yeah, of course.
Without the
But
48-volt architecture, just a regular gasoline engine that
mm,
you can maintain,
yeah,
it'll last forever, but there's less and less brands doing that. Almost everybody's gone hybrid to increase the fuel economy to make that corporate average fuel economy standard, which may change. And we've covered that in our channel. It's actually one of our best videos last month. Lee Zelden changing all of the regulations, and one of them is the corporate average fuel economy, which is called the CAFE standards, because I believe they already signed it. They're gonna take away that 56.6 mile per gallon average, which nobody can meet,
it's not possible.
to go back to the
Even
34.5
even the
on
best
average.
cars with the best MPG, which was one of the varieties of the Prius a couple of years ago,
Mhm.
was pretty darn close to that. I remember the diesel Audi A3 from 10 years ago.
55 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, but that still didn't meet the threshold.
Right.
So, and hopefully they're gonna get rid of that funny multiplier that California put on the EVs
Oh,
where it
that's a
multiplies by
corporate
4%.
one too. So the manufacturers get to say it gets 150 or 300 mpge, which means nothing.
Yeah.
It's a falsified multiplier that the federal government has allowed them to do. And I'm still working on trying to get to Lee Zeldin and Senator Bernie Moreno and Sean Duffy. So feel free to contact them on my behalf or put us together. We need to talk about getting rid of that because we're all being lied to on these numbers.
Yeah, they're flubbing the numbers because they're finding
False
ways to
advertising.
manipulate the system like, "Oh, well, the Mustang Mach-E is a Mustang, and that
It's not a
Mustang to get
Mustang.
in big quotes, for those of you who are just listening, I'm putting big, heavy air quotes because it's not a Mustang.
It's an SUV.
And I think us and everybody else has said that forever.
You can call it a Mach-E all you want. I don't care.
Well, yeah, Mach-E, that's what it's called. It's Mach-E. But so the reason they called it a Mustang is because they wanted to say, oh, well, this Mustang gets, I don't know, what is it, 300 miles to the charge or whatever.
Yeah, that's
and then you multiply that by 400 and you can make as many 800 horsepower Mustangs as you want.
Right.
And
it was
and then it averages out and they go, oh yeah, we get 100 mpg average on the Mustang.
I like the accent you put in there.
Oh, I didn't mean to do an accent, but
you do a lot of them.
But that's the idea, is they're manipulating the system, and that's why Dodge said we're going to drop the Charger and Challenger and go all electric.
That's about to change, isn't it? We just posted a video the other day on, is Stellantis about to go out of business?
Yes. So
they need a new CEO, like, quick.
Yes, we got John Elkann and Tim Kuniskis trying to salvage what Carlos Tavares screwed up.
They need to leave it to Tim Kuniskis, Ralph Giles, and a bunch of the car guys, real car guys, and let them build the cars that they know we want here in the U.S. What you build in Europe, you can sell Fiats, Alphas, Maseratis.
Although those brains are probably dying, though.
Well, in Europe, they sell.
Yeah.
They're not going to sell Challengers, Chargers, Jeeps, and Rams in Europe.
No,
American U.S. brand. And when you don't understand what we like and want here in the U.S., that's where there's a problem. And that's exactly what they did. They built and then the electric Dodge Charger, if you want one, great, go get one, because they're all over the place.
Oh, I got to see one in Toronto the other day.
They can't sell them.
I tell you what, they look good.
They look good.
In person, they look like a resto-modded, like, classic Charger. Very, very cool.
But driveline,
no, I don't even want the hybrid. I don't want a V6 hybrid. I want muscle. I want a 1,025 horsepower supercharged V8 that makes the nastiest, like, most aggressive sound you ever heard. I want muscle.
Not fake. Not fake sound.
Yeah, no, go and make your EV. You can have an EV available.
With fake sound?
You can have a hybrid available. I don't care, but I do need in my life at least access to this huge horsepower cars because they sell.
You know, it's funny, they break people in the dealership. You could say, I really want a huge Hemi, whatever, Hellcat. And I go into the dealer and you go, all right, well, maybe the price isn't right. Okay, it's not practical. And then I end up buying the hybrid, or they buy a 6-cylinder, which makes sense. Now, according to the people I know internally at Stellantis, they claim that all the cars they produce, that was what I last heard literally less than a month ago, that all the chassis can support electric, hybrid, or gas. Now, if that's true, it's a smart move.
Modular chassis, that's been around for a little while.
That's what Hyundai's been doing for a long time.
It's genius because it saves them a lot of money and it allows them to make more varieties of cars that we want.
But not every brand is doing that. GM and Ford aren't doing that.
No.
They're making them specific for that. No. I know Hyundai is, which under that window is Kia and Genesis. Honda's was working with General Motors. They're not working with them now. We'll see what happens. And then Nissan, well, there's another company struggling huge. I feel so bad because you used to work at Nissan. I used to be a trainer for Nissan. I worked for a lot of different brands over the years, and I cannot believe that they are struggling as bad as they are. And they got to get rid of those CVTs. Well, so you guys have all posted that Jaco
CVTs are horrible.
Everybody complains.
Every single review that we put out on Car Smarts, thank you for watching.
Yes, all the reviews live on Car Smarts. Yeah, all the news on Car Coach Reports.
Yes, so all the reviews that I see, and not just on our channel, everywhere on the internet, you know, someone posts up a Nissan and they go, yeah, the transmission sucks. I don't like how it drives. And it's like, okay, well then they're doing something right. They're efficient to a certain degree, although you and I have diesel Cayennes from 1 or 2 generations ago, whatever it is now, the mid 2010s. And I think around town I get about 28 mpg.
You've got a chip. You've got it.
So you and I have the exact same software.
It's fuel economy than you do. Maybe I'm not as lead-footed. When I'm my daily driver.
What do you get around town?
It's usually around 30.
Oh, so you're driving real careful. You're driving really careful.
I'm just driving. If on the highway though, I can get much higher than that.
just around town. You take it easy.
If I decide I have to pass somebody.
Yeah, you take it easy. You're just driving around town. I can get 30 as well. I don't normally get 30. I usually get about 28.
Yeah.
And
that's pretty good.
This past week we had the opportunity to drive again, and we've already put the review up. You can check it out on Car Smarts. The brand new Nissan Kicks.
Yep.
And it's a very pretty car with a lot of value for the money for,
I agree.
what is it, $30K?
31,000 was our test car.
So this week we're driving the car again, and it's very nice to drive, but I have to say that when I parked it here and I saw I got 25.5 miles per gallon, I thought they're doing something wrong.
Yeah. I don't know what they're doing wrong, but I think the problem is the new design is good.
Oh, it's very pretty.
Yeah. It
Every
looks
time
good.
they do,
They've rebased a lot of the software.
every time they do a reface, it's always very pretty. Like they even made the GTR, which has been the exact same car for the
Gone
last
now.
21 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2014 or whatever it is since they, anyway, don't quote me, please. I don't remember what, that car's been around for so long. And they did the refresh on it while I was working at Nissan, and they made it a little bit prettier. They updated the interface and the interior, and they added a little bit of embellishment to the exterior, and it looked great. And every time they do that, they always do a good job. Their designers are fantastic, but their higher ups are making these really silly decisions where they won't move on, or maybe their engineers are making silly decisions. They won't move on from stuff that doesn't work.
On Friday, they reduced their upper management by 20% to cut costs. They reduced their 3 shifts to 2 shifts, and they're cutting product.
You want to talk about how they dropped their CEO?
Well, yeah. Well, we have a report coming out on that this week, so you might definitely want to look
Give
for that.
everybody a little preview of what's going to be in the video.
Quick preview. They got rid of their CEO, and on April 1st, there is a brand new CEO coming in, which is from South America. But shall I give away my thought on that?
Well, I think what's really important here is that this was a piece of the negotiation between Nissan and Honda
Right.
for that merger that
Potential merger.
And they wanted the CEO out because they thought that the CEO was not doing what was in the best interest for what Honda saw as the future of the company, of the joint company.
And so they said no.
Yeah.
They walked away because the CEO said no.
Yeah.
And then they fired the CEO. And mind you, he's making like $34 million a year.
And this is important because it wraps
how did I end up in the wrong job?
This is important because it wraps to the EV conversation because Nissan, Honda, Mitsubishi, Renault, because all those 4 companies are wrapped up in these negotiations because Mitsubishi, Renault, Nissan alliance, they were all partnered together, and now Renault and Mitsubishi are divesting from Nissan because they see the writing on the wall and they think we don't want to go down with them.
Right. Mitsubishi is working on a deal we're supposed to see this week. I did not report on it yet because I want to see the signature on the document. Working a deal with Foxconn, who makes your iPhone.
Yep.
Because they want to get involved in the EV business. But I don't know if EVs make sense when we're just talking about EVs and the sales of them have dropped off dramatically. I know in certain countries it's not.
Yeah.
The problem is the infrastructure isn't there. And what are you going to do 5 years from now when you bought a used fill-in-the-blank brand that was a great car and you're stuck with it and nobody wants it?
Well, you got Honda and Nissan, Volkswagen Group.
They're
not as a whole, but
Volkswagen Group just laid off a whole bunch of people on Friday as well.
And a couple other companies that have still not backed off of their statement that they're going full EV.
Just a few.
With no exceptions on any of their cars. That includes Maserati, which could kill Maserati. Thank God Lotus backed off. But
Jaguar has not backed off.
Jaguar doubled, tripled down.
Although they did show a very cool looking blue version of the hideous example that they showed. But it looks good in blue. I like it in blue.
I don't hate it as much as I did when I first saw it, but I still hate what they're doing from a communications perspective.
I agree.
But everybody's still pushing for these EVs as we're talking about all of the
GM and Ford are still pushing.
Yeah, all of this conversation that we've had this whole time, all of it wraps into EVs are not desirable for the market, and yet there's still this heavy push for it because there's billions and billions of dollars in R&D. There's connections with manufacturing companies in China and other places that are building these EVs, that are mining the materials, and then all the shipping. And there's so much wrapped up into this,
and it's hurting jobs.
And it's slowly destroying the industry from the inside. When only 5% of the global market on average want an electric vehicle in the first place.
Right, and they're pushing it. What's interesting is when you see the layoffs at Stellantis and Nissan and Volkswagen Group on a global basis, more thousands and thousands. It was like 7,500 people out. That's a lot of people without jobs. And You think, well, this doesn't make sense. And that's why the UAW woke up and they said, yes, yes, after we didn't like President Trump, we now like President Trump because we don't like these electric vehicles because it kills the union jobs.
Mhm. Can you talk about why they're killing the union jobs?
Sure, I could do that. Because you need less people to produce them. But the fact is, if people aren't buying them and they're still making them, that means that they're taking losses. And if you're taking losses as a company, I don't care if you're selling donuts or you're selling cars, the first thing you do is we got to cut costs. What do? Well, people are expensive because you got to pay for their retirement and all the extra goodies that comes when you take a job, healthcare, et cetera, et cetera. So you let people go, you cut down on your production, your quantity, your shifts, so you just keep squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. And unfortunately, when you let people go, the UAW doesn't like that because it means less members. Less members means they take less dues, which means they have less power to buy the things that whatever it is unions buy besides power for politicians. But it's very interesting to watch as a whole because it doesn't just affect the union jobs there. It's all the sub-suppliers, whether it's Multimatic or a tire company, whatever it might be. If I need less tires and you're going to Goodyear to get tires or Michelin to get tires, you go, hey, last year we needed tires for 1,000,000 cars. This year we only need for 800,000 cars. Well, that hurts everybody.
Yep.
That hurts jobs across the board and it impacts the economy of not just the United States, but the entire globe. And that will put us into a pretty deep recession. So there's going to be some changes. President Trump's trying to bring jobs back here, which I'd like to see, not just for the UAW, but I think I'd like to see our economy go back to at least where it was. And trying not to get political at all. It's about the auto industry, which is where we care about. It's about jobs, where everybody cares about, and it's about the economy and everybody doing well. So we need to come up with a resolution, and part of that is good leadership within each brand, making better decisions on products that you want to buy, and producing things that are long life. I know it's great to have the technicians that have jobs because trust me, they got a lifetime of jobs. It's just interesting to watch this whole combination of where we were going is negative. It's going to take years to unwind all this, and we're starting to unwind it now. So I think we're going to see some growth. But in the meantime, all those people that are saying, "Oh, you should buy this," or your political views are this or that, that's all ridiculous. It's all BS. I'm just trying to be nice in my words because my thoughts are something else. Um, I'm just infuriated. What do you think?
I think that we always say that we're on the verge of the next issue of whatever it is, and it sometimes seems a lot like that. Um, I think that the movement right now going on in the government and the lobbyists and the OEMs, we are seeing a shift. It's a very slow shift. We've been seeing this shift from I don't know, whenever the Prius came out and everyone told you that you were some idiot that didn't know what they were talking about.
The new
But
Prius is really good.
yeah, but the point is that, change is slow and there's a lot of people fighting for what they want, and what I think we're going to see at the end of all this is more choice in the market.
I hope so. For you,
And
for you guys.
we're gonna see pullback from the government because it's already been announced that they're making a full effort to do this. And you know, when when Zeldin's vote finally gets or when Zeldin's move
CRA?
on the CRA for California's CARB emissions waiver, when that finally gets to vote.
Yeah, they've been pushing back against that.
Well, because usually what happens is, well, I want to bring it to vote. Well, we're all going to vote if we want to vote on it.
Yeah, these are the people that you elect.
This is how it's always worked.
Yeah,
But
it's absurd.
well, no, it's important because it's
If
it
people
protects
want it,
it protects the Constitution and the
right?
laws the way
People
that
want
they
it.
are. It's very, very difficult to write law, and it's very difficult to revoke law, and that means that things don't change every year or every presidency. The executive orders, sure, maybe they shift a little bit here and there, but generally speaking, in your day-to-day life, it's not catastrophically different. And that's important. But hopefully when he finally brings this thing to vote, and we're going to see a lot of pushback and delays, and well, we're not going to vote on it this time because whoever's in charge of the Senate, maybe they decide, well, there's more important things to vote on, or
Or committee chair or something.
yeah,
Or
oh well, we need to rewrite this and let's put it back to draft, and the lobbyists come in and it keeps
we're
delaying.
following it. We'll keep
But
you posted.
but the idea is that eventually this thing will get voted on. And I have a
It
very
will go
strong
away.
feeling that the California CARB waiver will go away, and all of the manufacturers will breathe a sigh of relief.
And they can make some money, which means more
Because
jobs.
when California loses their waiver, I think that this marks the beginning of the shift. Now, keep in mind, then it doesn't mean that next year the cars that are designed or the next generation of cars are all of a sudden going to be not EV and not follow California's rules. They're just going to realize that, well, California, while it is the biggest market, they're not as much of a bully in the whole process as they were before. So the manufacturers actually have some negotiating power to go back to California and say, listen, we cannot build cars that meet your specification. It will destroy all of us.
Right.
You've lost your waiver. You need to dial it back on these regulations. Let's find a happy middle ground.
Right. This is on a federal level,
Yes.
not on a state level. So on a federal level, if California loses their power, the states still have their own individual power.
But that's the whole issue with this, and we've covered this a couple of times, but like I think we don't always dig really deep into the why it's so important. Because when California as a state has these rules and they've partnered with 17 other states, that's fine and all. But on a federal level, with this waiver, it allows them to do whatever they want with impunity. And without the waiver, it allows the manufacturers to go back and say, well, you set the standard for the entire country. You no longer have the support of the federal government. We cannot survive with the rules the way that they are. You need to dial them back so that we can survive and sell cars, because if we can't sell cars, it will damage your economy and economies all over the country, all over the world. It'll collapse businesses in the process, and we're starting to see that. I mean, the last time we had a huge issue, I think it was Mercury died, Pontiac, Saturn, Hummer. There's a whole bunch that collapsed
Pontiac.
under the weight of economic turmoil. And now we're kind of seeing the second wave of that with the shift in power, which we haven't had since the horse and buggy.
Well,
I guess the oil crisis of 73.
Right. I think there's going to be a lot of changes. The one that I can tell from my perspective is we go to these drive events and we're seeing less and less people going. We're seeing a lot of brands going out of business, a lot of outlets like the Car Connections going away April 1st, the Green Car Reports, everything that's under this internet brands. We've seen many of other brands disappear or shrink way down. Like CNET's got one person in charge of their automotive department who happens to be a really good writer. But for the rest, they got rid of everyone. And you're seeing this through a lot of brands shrinking, going out of business. And that's bad for business.
I would like to posit a reason. I would like to argue that the reason why that's happening is because there's so many new electric cars and plug-in hybrids that are coming out, and people don't want them. And so if, whatever percentage of, I should actually look this up, the percentage of new cars that are EV that are available, and for some cars, they're wiping out all of their ICEs and only having EVs. So the number is probably pretty high these days in comparison to what it was a couple of years ago. I would argue maybe, I don't know, 20%, 30%. How many new cars are EVs these days? They keep coming out with new ones.
Well, they're always doing that because they're already in the pipeline and you can't stop after they put all this money in.
Yeah, I've said this before. It's a 5 to 10 year process to develop a car.
All right, so finish your thought on why these brands are going out of business.
So all these new cars are coming out that are EV. People don't want EVs, right? We have real statistics. We covered it in a video, like I mentioned, that only 5% of the global market want EVs on average. Now, it's a lot higher in countries like Norway. It's a little bit lower in countries like America. I think it's like 4 or 3% or whatever here. Go back to the video, watch it. All the statistics are in there. It's very well done.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank me too, because we both, anyway. So I think that because people don't want these cars, they're not even interested in looking at the videos anymore. They're not even interested in reading the articles anymore. People search for
TikTok or actually walk in a dealer.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying is like
they're not even reading magazines anymore.
No.
When's the last time you bought a magazine? I haven't bought a magazine in a long time.
I still get my Porsche Club magazines.
All right, I get my Porsche Club magazines as well, but that's a different story. But as far as like road and track car driver, automobile, whatever, motor trend.
Well, a lot of them are shirking.
And
a couple of them died.
Yeah. Well, they've moved them online is what they've done with a lot of that.
Yeah, the actual publication, the physical
I think
publication.
there's only, like if you go to the
Not many left.
newsstand, not many.
Yeah.
But I don't even wanna guess.
So I'm thinking that because so many people don't care about these cars, because so many people aren't buying these cars, new EV comes out and people go, "Oh."
Another one, yeah. They're all the same, yeah, you know.
Well, they don't have any character.
Right.
The only difference is the looks and whether or not they have an extra feature.
Right. That's about it. They're all the same underneath.
Yeah, it's like buying a new phone. They're all the same these days. Even if you go between Apple and Android, they're pretty much the same these days. It's like, okay, which one do you want to be your daily driver?
Ah, got it. Okay.
But so then these publications they live and breathe these car reviews, and the vast majority of their products are things that people don't care about.
Right, and they try to stray from a lot of it, trying to make it
Right,
political
like
or make
collapse.
or yeah, but it's interesting. So there's gonna be a lot of auto writers out there looking for jobs as of April 1st. But it's interesting. We've seen a lot of that. But as the industry shifts, there's less auto journalists, less people that cover the auto industry. We'll still be here. I've been doing this forever. I will never give up. Um, I think it's interesting just to watch the unfolding of the industry and the changes. We're seeing a lot of shrinkage, a lot of change. And so we'll be covering all those changes, whether it's companies going out of business, new companies coming on online, some cool products, which we'll put on Car Coach Reports. And we'll continue covering things that you should keep your eye on, especially things that happen in your neck of the woods.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks so much for watching. I'm Lauren Fix.
I'm Paul Fix, third.
Where can we find you, Paul?
You can find me online at Paul Fix 3, the number. I primarily post on Instagram, so you can follow me there for some car stuff
Yep.
that I like to share.
But we also have Car Coach Reports, which is an Instagram channel. Of course, Car Coach Reports on YouTube, where you are right now, or you might have seen it on one of our other platforms. We're also on Rumble, we're on Substack, and of course, we have Car Smarts for all our car reviews.
Yep, and you can find that on the Car Smarts channel on YouTube specifically. On social media, you can find kind of a lot of stuff cross between us.
always.
We can find you at
Lauren Fix on literally every
literally everywhere.
Yep, I'm out there and about, and I do try to answer your questions. So if I didn't get to them right away, I apologize. If you put questions in the comments below, we will be looking at them, keeping our eye on them. Not forever, but we do try to keep on top of everything as we can.
Well,
That's a
we
challenge.
do appreciate your comments
We
because we
do.
want to hear what you have to say.
Yep.
So thank you so much for watching. And again, check in the description for all the links and everything for anything you might be interested in. And we will look forward to seeing you next time in episode 6.
Thanks so much for watching.
Thanks.